Picture this. You're locked inside a metal boxcar with 100 other men in 110-degree heat. The door slams shut. There's no air. Men start dying on their feet, but they can't fall down. It's too packed. You're standing among corpses for an entire day. This isn't a horror movie. This happened to American Staff Sergeant Lester Tenney in 1942. And it gets worse. 2 years in a Japanese coal mine, where prisoners are beaten with hammers for not shoveling fast enough, where men beg their friends to break their arms just to get 1 week off from going underground. Out of 593 soldiers in his battalion, only 265 made it home. Tenney was one of them. How did he survive when even the strongest men died? You're about to discover the full truth about the most horrific POW experience in American history. If this story moved you as much as it moved me, subscribe to the channel. Here I tell stories about people who went through the unimaginable and survived. About events that get silenced. About truths that must be remembered. One subscription is your vote to make sure stories like this are never forgotten. Thanksgiving Day, November 20, 1941. The transport ship cuts through the Pacific waters toward Manila Bay. Staff Sergeant Lester Tenney of the 192nd Tank Battalion stands on deck, watching the Philippine coastline emerge from the morning mist. He is 21 years old, recently married, a radio operator and tank commander from Chicago, Illinois. The humid tropical air wraps around him like a wet blanket. He does not know that in 18 days, his world will explode. He does not know that of the 593 men from his battalion aboard this ship, only 265 will survive to see home again. He does not know that he is sailing toward 3 years and 8 months of unimaginable hell. The ship's horn bellows across the water as they approach the harbor. Below deck, 54 brand-new M3 Stuart light tanks sit in darkness, their steel hulls gleaming with factory paint. These are America's newest weapons, rushed to General Douglas MacArthur's command with the highest priority from Army Chief of Staff George C. Marshall himself. Within weeks, most will be destroyed, abandoned, or captured. Within months, their crews will be dead, dying, or wishing for death. This is the true story of what happened next. December 8th, 1941, 0330 hours. Fort Stotzenburg, near Clark Field, Luzon. Staff Sergeant Lester Tenney wakes to urgent voices in the darkness. The news crackles over the radio. Pearl Harbor has been attacked. The 192nd Tank Battalion scrambles to battle stations. Hours later, the sky fills with the drone of engines. Japanese bombers appear in perfect formation above Clark Field, catching the American aircraft still parked wingtip to wingtip on the runway. Tenney watches from his tank as the explosions tear through the airfield. The concussion waves slam against his chest. Black smoke rises in towering columns. Men are screaming. The 192nd Tank Battalion experiences its first casualties that day. Not from enemy tanks, but from bombs falling from the sky. The battalion consists of men from 4 National Guard companies. Company A from Janesville, Wisconsin, Company B from Maywood, Illinois, Company C from Port Clinton, Ohio, and Company D from Harrodsburg, Kentucky. They had trained together at Fort Knox, believing they would serve 1 year and go home. That illusion died with Pearl Harbor. December 22, 1941, near De Mortis, Lingayen Gulf. The 192nd Tank Battalion receives orders at midnight. Move north to halt the Japanese invasion at Lingayen Gulf. The tanks roll through darkness, navigating by blue running lights with only outdated Shell Oil Company maps to guide them. At Rosario, disaster strikes. The refueling trucks went to the wrong town. The tanks run dry. Gasoline is frantically siphoned from other vehicles to fuel 1 platoon of 5 M3 Stuart tanks. Of 50 available American tanks, only 5 reach the combat zone. Second Lieutenant Benjamin Morin leads the platoon forward. At approximately 0900 hours, they encounter Japanese Type 95 light tanks from the Imperial Japanese Army's 4th Tank Regiment. This is the first time American tanks engage enemy armor in World War II. The first moment American tank crews stare through their gun sights at another tank that wants to kill them. The lead American tank immediately leaves the road to maneuver. A Japanese shell strikes it instantly. Fire erupts from the hull. The crew bails out, but the tank commander cannot escape. The smell of burning flesh fills the air. Lieutenant Morin's own tank takes multiple hits. His main gun jams. Flames lick around the turret. 4 enemy tanks advance on his disabled vehicle. He has no choice. He orders his crew to surrender. They are the first American prisoners of the war in the Philippines. 4 men from the 192nd Tank Battalion become POWs on December 22, 1941. They will not be the last. December 23, 1941. General Douglas MacArthur makes a decision that will determine the fate of thousands. Unable to defend the entire island of Luzon against the Japanese invasion, he orders a withdrawal to the Bataan Peninsula. War Plan Orange, designed in 1935 and 1936, envisioned exactly this scenario. If Japan attacked the Philippines, American and Filipino forces would retreat to Bataan and wait for reinforcements from Pearl Harbor. But there is no Pearl Harbor anymore. The plan did not account for that. The 192nd and 194th Tank Battalions receive orders to serve as the rear guard, conducting a fighting withdrawal across central Luzon. They will leapfrog backward in a piggyback operation. Infantry moves first, then artillery, while the tanks hold the line. When the infantry is 15 kilometers south and dug in, the tanks withdraw to the next defensive position, again and again and again. At Plaridel, the tankers are ordered to hold for 6 hours to allow the withdrawal of the Southern forces across the Pampanga River. They hold for 3 days. They are constantly strafed by Japanese aircraft. Artillery shells crater the roads. The tropical heat is merciless. Temperatures reach 43 degrees Celsius. Lester Tenney is inside his tank, hands on the radio equipment, coordinating with other units. The steel hull becomes an oven. Sweat pours down his face, soaking his uniform. Outside, he can hear the crack of rifle fire, the thump of mortars. His tank's engine roars. The smell of diesel fuel and cordite fills his nostrils. December 28, 1941, near Baliwag. Lieutenant William Gentry's platoon of Company C engages Japanese forces in the town. In a 2-hour running battle, American M3 Stuarts hunt Japanese tanks through the streets. They destroy multiple enemy vehicles in conjunction with self-propelled 75mm gun mounts positioned in the surrounding rice paddies. The withdrawal continues. Days blur together. Christmas passes unnoticed. By December 31st, the 71st Philippine Infantry Division defends Baliwag against a battalion of Japanese infantry supported by both the 4th and 7th Tank Regiments. Company C of the 192nd engages enemy armor again. The Americans destroy 8 Japanese tanks, preventing a complete rout and keeping open the Manila-San Fernando Highway, essential for the Southern forces withdrawing into Bataan. The 192nd Tank Battalion is cited for this action, but citations do not stop bullets. Citations do not cure disease. Citations do not fill empty stomachs. By early January 1942, the American and Filipino forces have completed their withdrawal to the Bataan Peninsula. The gates of hell have opened. They are walking through. January 7, 1942. The Battle of Bataan begins. The 192nd Tank Battalion settles into defensive positions along the Pilar-Bagak Road. General MacArthur's plan assumes that reinforcements and supplies will arrive from the United States. They will not. President Franklin D. Roosevelt has already made his decision. Europe first. The Philippines will receive nothing. In one of his fireside chats in March 1942, Roosevelt will say, "In every battle, there comes a time when one group of warriors must be sacrificed for the benefit of the whole." The warriors he speaks of are the men fighting and dying on Bataan, the men like Lester Tenney. The defenders of Bataan are immediately placed on half rations. MacArthur's staff had failed to stockpile adequate supplies. Tons of rice, ammunition, and other stores were abandoned during the hasty retreat. Now those mistakes will be paid for in blood and slow starvation. The daily ration quickly drops to 2,000 calories, then 1,500, then 1,000. Soldiers begin eating anything they can find: monkey meat, lizards, snakes, roots. The jungle provides nothing. This is not survival training. This is slow death. The 192nd Tank Battalion engages the Japanese on a day-to-day, night-to-night basis. The enemy attempts to break through the Pilar Bagach line repeatedly. Each attack is beaten back, but the defenders grow weaker. Malaria sweeps through the ranks like wildfire. There is no quinine. Dysentery follows. Men defecate blood and cannot stand. Dengue fever burns through bodies, spiking temperatures to 40 degrees Celsius. Beriberi causes limbs to swell grotesquely. Wounds do not heal in the tropical heat and humidity. Infections fester. Gangrene sets in. The jungle stinks of death and disease. Lester Tenney feels his body weakening. The pounds melt off his frame. His ribs begin to show. His uniform hangs loose. When he looks at his fellow soldiers, he sees walking skeletons, eyes sunken into skulls, skin stretched tight over bone, hands that tremble, legs that barely support weight. At night, he hears men crying. He hears men praying. He hears men die. The 192nd continues to fight. They participate in the defense against Japanese coastal landings. They provide direct support for infantry on the front lines. They are commended for their role in the Battle of the Point and the Battle of the Pockets. They slow the Japanese advance, but they cannot stop it. Every day, the noose tightens. April 3, 1942. After receiving fresh reinforcements and supplies, the Japanese launch their final offensive against Bataan. The defenders have nothing left. No food, no ammunition, no medicine, no hope. The men are starving, diseased, and exhausted. Many can barely lift their weapons. For 4 months they have held. For 4 months they have bought time for the Allies to strengthen Australia and prepare for the Pacific War. Now, the end has come. General Edward P. King, Jr., newly appointed commander of forces on Bataan, faces an impossible situation. His men are being slaughtered. They have no supplies to continue fighting. General MacArthur, safely evacuated to Australia, has ordered them to fight to the last man. But King knows what that means. It means annihilation. It means the murder of 78,000 American and Filipino troops. On the morning of April 9, 1942, at approximately 0600 hours, General King makes the hardest decision of his life. Against his superior's orders, accepting full personal responsibility, knowing he may face court-martial, he orders the surrender. "You men remember this," he tells his troops. "You did not surrender. You had no alternative but to obey my order." The 192nd Tank Battalion receives the surrender order. The men stare at each other in disbelief. After everything, the fighting, the bleeding, the starving, the dying, it ends like this. Officers order the destruction of equipment. Tank crews take sledgehammers to their radios, their weapons, their vehicles. Lester Tenney helps destroy his tank. The machine he has lived in, fought in, depended on for survival. Smashing the radio equipment feels like destroying a piece of himself. The sound of metal on metal rings across the jungle. All around Bataan, the same destruction is happening. Engines are ruined. Weapons are rendered useless. Supplies are burned. What the Japanese will not get, they will not take. But there is one thing they will take: the soldiers. 12,000 Americans, 66,000 Filipinos, 78,000 prisoners of war. the largest surrender of American forces in history. April 9, 1942, afternoon. Mariveles and Bagach, southern Bataan. The Japanese order all prisoners to assemble in the towns at the southern tip of the peninsula. Lester Tenney and his fellow tankers join the growing mass of humanity. Thousands of men, already starving and diseased, are herded together in the tropical heat. The Japanese soldiers begin the first shakedown. Prisoners are ordered to empty their pockets, lay out all possessions. The guards move among them, searching, confiscating, stealing. Anything valuable, watches, rings, money, photographs, is taken. Men are slapped, beaten, cursed at. Lieutenant Kermit Lay later testifies, "They pulled us off into a rice paddy and began shaking us down. There were about 100 of us, so it took time to get to all of us. Everyone had pulled their pockets wrong side out and laid all their things out in front. They were taking jewelry and doing a lot of slapping. I laid out my New Testament." Then Lay watches 3 prisoners, 1 officer and 2 enlisted men, taken behind a rice shack. Gunshots. The men had Japanese souvenirs and money. The guards assumed it was stolen from dead Japanese soldiers. Word spreads rapidly through the prisoners. Get rid of anything Japanese. Destroy it. Bury it. Throw it away. Your life depends on it. One prisoner refuses to surrender his wedding ring. A Japanese guard grabs his hand. The ring will not come off. The man's fingers have swollen from disease. The guard pulls out a bayonet and simply cuts off the finger. The man screams. Blood sprays. No medical care is provided. Other prisoners tear strips from their uniforms to bind the wound. Later, that man will die of infection during the march. The guards confiscate identification tags from many prisoners. This seems like a small thing. It is not. Without identification tags, if a man dies, he cannot be identified. He becomes unknown. His family will never know what happened to him. He simply vanishes into the tropical heat and dust. As the sun sets on April 9, 1942, Lester Tenney stands with thousands of prisoners in the gathering darkness. He has no idea what is coming. None of them do. But they are about to find out. The Bataan Death March is about to begin. April 10, 1942, dawn. Temperature already climbing toward 40 degrees Celsius. The Japanese guards shout orders in a language most prisoners do not understand. Gestures with rifles and bayonets make the meaning clear. Walk north. Begin walking. Do not stop. The column forms. Thousands of prisoners in ragged lines stretching across the landscape. Most are already weak from 4 months of starvation and disease. Many have dysentery and must defecate constantly. Many have malaria and shake with fever. Many have untreated wounds that weep pus and blood. Many can barely stand. But they must walk. The distance from Mariveles to San Fernando is approximately 90 kilometers. The route leads up the Bataan Peninsula on the National Road under the brutal tropical sun, with no food, no water, no rest, no mercy. The heat is apocalyptic. The air shimmers above the pavement. The sun hammers down like molten steel. Within hours, men begin to collapse. A prisoner falls. The Japanese guard yells at him to get up. The man tries. He cannot. His legs will not support him. The guard yells again. No response. The guard takes his rifle and brings the butt down on the man's skull. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound is wet and terrible. The man stops moving. The column walks past his body. 5 minutes later, another man falls. This time the guard does not yell. He simply unslings his rifle, points it at the fallen man's head, and fires. The crack of the gunshot echoes across the march. Lester Tenney walks. He puts one foot in front of the other. His mouth is already dry. They have been given no water. The sun beats down. Sweat soaks his uniform. His vision begins to swim. Around him, men stumble forward like zombies. A Japanese soldier approaches a prisoner and speaks to him. The prisoner does not understand Japanese. The soldier becomes angry. He pulls out his bayonet and plunges it into the prisoner's abdomen. The man falls, clutching his stomach. The column walks past. Tenney looks back once. The wounded man is trying to crawl off the road. A guard walks over and drives the bayonet through his neck. The killing has no reason, no logic, no purpose. It is simply what is happening. If you cannot walk fast enough, death. If you fall down, death. If you need to defecate, death. If you ask for water, death. If you stop for any reason, death. The sun climbs higher. The heat intensifies. Men's lips crack and bleed. Tongues swell. Some prisoners try to break from the column to reach a stream or puddle. Most are shot before they take 3 steps. Some make it to the water. They are bayoneted as they drink. By noon, Lester Tenney's throat feels like sandpaper. His head pounds. Spots dance in his vision. He knows the signs of heat stroke. Keep moving. If you stop, you die. Beside him, a soldier from another unit falls to his knees. Tenney tries to help him up. A Japanese guard rushes over, screaming. The guard raises his rifle. Tenney steps back. The guard smashes the rifle butt into the kneeling man's face. Blood explodes from his nose. The man topples sideways. The guard kicks him in the ribs. No movement. The guard walks away. Tenney keeps walking. That is all you can do. Just keep walking. The first day claims hundreds of lives. Bodies line the road. They will lie there for days, rotting in the tropical heat, covered with flies. Some are buried by Filipino civilians who risk their lives to show basic human decency. Most are left where they fell. The Japanese have no intention of allowing burial details. Dead prisoners are irrelevant. Only the march matters. April 11th, 1942, morning of the second day. The sun is already merciless. The column continues north. Lester Tenney estimates they have walked perhaps 15 kilometers. He has not had water for over 24 hours. His lips are split and bleeding. His tongue feels twice its normal size. Every breath burns his throat. Then he sees something that fills him with horror. Japanese guards are pulling prisoners from the march and forcing them to sit in an open field beside the road. Dozens of men, then hundreds, all forced to sit cross-legged in the full sun. This is what the prisoners call the sun treatment. The guards station themselves in the shade of nearby trees and watch. The prisoners sit. The sun climbs higher. The temperature soars toward 43 degrees Celsius. Men begin to sway. Some topple over. The guards rush out and beat them upright. You must sit. You must stay conscious. You must not fall. The sun treatment lasts hours. Some prisoners are kept there all day. The guards rotate in and out of the shade, resting, drinking water, eating. The prisoners sit and bake. One prisoner goes mad from the heat and dehydration. He begins to scream and tear at his uniform. He tries to run. A guard shoots him. His body is dragged to the side of the field and left there as a warning. The other prisoners sit and watch him die. They have no choice. Another prisoner loses consciousness and slumps forward. The guards laugh. They pull him upright and throw water in his face, not to help him, just to revive him enough that he remains conscious for more suffering. When the guards finally release the prisoners back to the march, many cannot stand. Their legs have cramped, their muscles have locked. They try to walk and collapse. They are shot where they fall. Lester Tenney does not experience the sun treatment on this day. He will later. For now, he walks and watches it happen to others. He watches men reduced to madness by heat. He watches men die of thirst with water just meters away. He watches cruelty that has no military purpose, no strategic value. Cruelty as entertainment. As the day wears on, more prisoners fall. The heat is killing them. Dysentery is killing them. Disease is killing them. Beatings are killing them. Bullets are killing them. Bayonets are killing them. The road becomes a trail of corpses. April 11, 1942. Dusk. The column stops. The prisoners have walked perhaps 25 kilometers. They are herded into a field beside the road. No food, no water, no shelter. They drop to the ground where they stand. Lester Tenney's body is a mass of pain. His feet are covered with blisters. His leg muscles cramp and spasm. His head throbs with dehydration. His stomach is a hollow, gnawing void. Around him, men are groaning. Some are delirious with fever. Some are crying. Some are praying. Many are dying. During the night, prisoners die quietly. They close their eyes and never open them. In the morning, their bodies are stiff and cold. No one speaks about it. What is there to say? A man lies down next to you. In the morning, he is dead. This happens dozens of times during that first night. The Japanese guards do not care. They do not count the prisoners. They do not record the deaths. Dead prisoners are just problems that have solved themselves. In the darkness, Lester Tenney hears a soldier weeping. "I can't do this," the man whispers. "I can't do another day. I can't." "You can," Tenney says. "You have to." "I can't." The man is silent for a moment. "If I fall tomorrow, just keep walking. Don't try to help me. They'll kill you too." "You're not going to fall." "If I do, promise me." Tenney promises. He does not want to, but what else can he do? In the morning, that soldier stands. He walks. He survives another day. But many others do not. The second day of the march will be worse than the first. April 12, 1942, the third day. The heat is again unbearable. The prisoners have had no water for 3 days. Men are collapsing from dehydration at an accelerating rate. Some are hallucinating. Some are having seizures. Some are dying as they walk, their hearts simply giving out. Then, ahead, Tenney sees them. Artesian wells beside the road. Water. Blessed water. The column approaches. The prisoners can smell the moisture in the air. They can see the puddles. They can hear the trickle of flowing water. The Japanese guards position themselves between the prisoners and the wells. The guards drink. They fill their canteens. They splash water on their faces. The prisoners watch, throats working, lips cracked and bleeding. A prisoner breaks from the column and runs toward the water. He makes it 3 meters. A rifle shot drops him. He falls on his face in the dirt, 10 meters from water, and dies. Another prisoner tries. He is bayoneted. He falls into a puddle, his blood mixing with water. He tries to drink as he dies. Another prisoner, delirious with thirst, staggers toward the well. A guard grabs him and throws him to the ground. The guard begins to beat him with a bamboo pole. The prisoner curls into a ball. The beating continues. Finally, the guard tires and walks away. The prisoner lies motionless. Later, at another well, the guards suddenly allow prisoners to drink. The column surges forward. Men push and shove to reach the water. They fall to their knees and plunge their faces into puddles, gulping desperately. The water is dirty, contaminated, full of parasites. No one cares. After 30 seconds, the guards start shooting. The prisoners scatter. Some are shot in the back as they run. Those who drank too fast are now vomiting. Those who drank the contaminated water have just infected themselves with dysentery. It does not matter. In that moment, water is life. Lester Tenney manages to get a few mouthfuls. The liquid burns his cracked throat, but tastes like heaven. His stomach cramps immediately. He ignores it. He is still walking. That is all that matters. The march continues north. The pile of bodies grows. The guards are bored with simple killing. They begin to experiment with cruelty. A prisoner is tied to a tree in the full sun and left there. As the column passes, Prisoners can see him struggling against the ropes. Hours later, another column passes. The man is still there, motionless now, dead from heat and thirst and despair. April 13th, 1942, the fourth day. Lester Tenney is walking in the middle of the column. His mind is in a fog. He is beyond exhaustion, into some state that has no name. His body moves automatically, one foot, then the other. Repeat. Survive. Behind him he hears a commotion, shouting in Japanese. The column slows. Tenney turns his head slightly. A Japanese officer on horseback is riding alongside the column. The officer is young, perhaps in his 20s. He wears a sword at his belt, a traditional katana. The officer is looking at the prisoners with contempt. Suddenly, without warning, the officer draws his sword. In one fluid motion, he swings it at a prisoner walking beside the road. The blade is aimed at the man's neck. At the last instant, the prisoner sees it coming and flinches. The sword misses his neck, but cuts deep into his shoulder. Blood sprays. The prisoner screams and falls. The officer rides on, laughing. Other guards rush over to the fallen prisoner. They pull him to the side of the road. They do not help him. They simply move him out of the column's way. He will die there. Tenney keeps walking. His shoulder throbs in sympathy. He can imagine the bite of that blade. The officer continues riding along the column, sword still drawn. He swings at another prisoner. This time the blade connects with the side of the man's head. The prisoner drops instantly, dead before he hits the ground. The officer sheathes his sword and rides ahead. Later that day, another Japanese officer decides to play the same game. His sword flashes in the sunlight. He swings at a prisoner. The man dodges. The blade cuts across his back, opening a long gash. The prisoner staggers but does not fall. He keeps walking. Blood soaks his uniform. He will die of infection within a week. The use of swords is not universal. Most guards use rifles, bayonets, bamboo poles, or their fists. But the sword attacks are memorable because of their casual, sporting nature. Officers amusing themselves, testing their blades on defenseless men. Later, Lester Tenney will write, "I saw things that changed me forever. I saw humanity at its worst." He does not provide all the details. Some things cannot be put into words. Some things must be locked away, or they will drive a man mad. But in testimony to the U.S. Senate in 2000, Tenney will describe the sword incident. The blade that missed his neck but opened his shoulder. The medics who quickly sewed it up. The scar he carried for the rest of his life. A physical reminder of the day a Japanese officer tried to kill him for sport and failed by inches. April 14th, 1942. Lester Tenney has been marching for 5 days. He has had almost no food, minimal water, no rest beyond collapsing for a few hours each night. His body is consuming itself. His face is gaunt. His eyes are sunken. His ribs protrude. He feels his strength ebbing. Around him, men are reaching their breaking points. A soldier begins to cry uncontrollably. He sits down in the road. "I can't," he sobs. "I just can't." The guards descend on him. They beat him with rifle butts. They kick him. They finally drag him off the road and shoot him. Another prisoner begins to laugh hysterically. The laughter goes on and on, high-pitched and wrong. The man has broken mentally. He wanders from the column. A guard bayonets him. The laughter stops. Tenney feels his own mind beginning to fray. He focuses on simple things. Count steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you reach 100, count again. Focus on the back of the man in front of you. Watch his heels rise and fall. Match his pace. Do not think about water. Do not think about food. Do not think about home. Do not think about your wife. Just walk. Just survive. Just make it to the next minute. A friend from the 192nd Tank Battalion walks beside Tenney. They have trained together, fought together, survived together. The friend stumbles. "I need to stop," he whispers. "Just for a second." "You can't." "Just a second." "You can't. They'll kill you." "I know." The friend's eyes are filled with despair. "But I can't keep going." Tenney grabs his arm. "Yes, you can. 1 more kilometer. Then 1 more. That's all. Just 1 more." They walk together. The friend does not stop. He survives another day. But that night, Tenney hears him crying in the darkness. "I want to die," the friend whispers. "I just want to die." "Not yet," Tenney says. "Not today." "When?" "Not today. That's all we can do. Not today." This conversation happens thousands of times during the march. Men encouraging each other, men dragging each other forward, men refusing to let their friends give up, refusing to let them sit down. Because sitting down means death. Many still sit. They make the choice. This is where I stop. This is where it ends. The guards oblige them. April 15th, 1942. The column reaches San Fernando. The prisoners have walked approximately 90 kilometers in 6 days through hell. They have survived heat, thirst, disease, beatings, and constant random murder. They believe the worst is over. They are wrong. At San Fernando, the prisoners are forced into a rail yard. Japanese guards herd them toward freight cars, old boxcars from World War I. These are standard 40-8 boxcars, designed to hold 40 men or 8 horses. The guards begin loading prisoners. Staff Sergeant Alf Larson later testifies. The train consisted of 6 or 7 World War I-era boxcars. They packed us in the cars like sardines, so tight you couldn't sit down. Then they shut the door. If you passed out, you couldn't fall down. If someone had to go to the toilet, you went right there where you were. It was close to summer, and the weather was hot and humid, hotter than Billy Blazes. We were on the train from early morning to late afternoon without getting out. People died in the railroad cars. The guards force 100 men into each boxcar. The math is simple. These cars are designed for 40. They are cramming in 100. The prisoners are packed so tightly that movement is impossible. The doors slam shut. The darkness is absolute. The heat is immediate and suffocating. The temperature inside the sealed metal cars climbs toward 50 degrees Celsius. Men cannot breathe. The air is thick, soupy, filled with the stench of sweat and fear and excrement. Someone vomits. The smell triggers others. Soon, men are vomiting uncontrollably in the darkness. Someone has diarrhea. The filth runs down legs, pools on the floor. Men are standing in human waste. The train does not move. They wait in the sealed cars for hours. Men begin to faint from heat exhaustion, but they cannot fall. The crowd holds them upright. Men begin to panic. They claw at the walls, the doors, each other. They scream to be let out. No one comes. Finally, the train lurches into motion. The journey to Capas is only about 50 kilometers. It takes 1 hour. That hour feels eternal. The heat is killing men. They suffocate standing up. They die and remain upright, held by the press of bodies. When the doors finally open at Capas, the light is blinding. Fresh air rushes in. The prisoners pour out, gasping, desperate. Many collapse immediately. The guards pull corpses from the cars. The exact number varies by car. Some have 5 dead. Some have 10. Some have 15. The bodies are stiff, eyes open, mouths gaping. They are tossed aside like garbage. Lester Tenney stumbles from his car. His legs barely support him. His lungs burn. He looks at the pile of dead men and thinks, I could have been there. I should have been there. But he is not. He is alive. For now. The guards line up the survivors. One final march remains. From Kappas to Camp O'Donnell, 9 kilometers. On legs that have already walked 90 kilometers. On bodies that have been starved and beaten and broken. Walk. Just walk. The camp is there. Survival is there. Or so they believe. April 16th, 1942. Lester Tenney and thousands of other prisoners stagger into Camp O'Donnell. This is a former Philippine Army training facility in Kappas, Tarlac, approximately 65 miles north of Manila. The camp was constructed in August 1941 to house a portion of the Philippine Army's 71st Infantry Division. Construction was never completed. Now it will become a prisoner of war camp. The first prisoners arrived on April 11th. By April 30th, the last groups stumble through the gates. Total population? Approximately 9,000 Americans and 60,000 Filipinos, held in separate sections. The camp is utterly unprepared for this influx. There are limited barracks. Most consist of bamboo poles with nipa palm and thatch roofs. Sleeping bays are crude bamboo platforms. Some buildings have dirt floors. Some have woven mats. There is no proper hospital. There is no adequate water system. There is no sewer system. There are no dining facilities. It is, in every way, a death trap. As Tenney passes through the gate, he is greeted by the camp commandant, Captain Yoshio Tsuneyoshi, a graduate of the Imperial Japanese Army Academy class of 1915. Tsuneyoshi addresses the assembled prisoners. His message is clear and simple. You are not soldiers. You are cowards. You surrendered instead of dying with honor. You are lower than dogs. You will be treated as such. This sets the tone for everything that follows. The Japanese military culture views surrender as the ultimate shame. A soldier should fight to the death. To surrender is to disgrace oneself, one's family, one's nation. Japanese soldiers rarely surrender. When they do, they expect to be executed or enslaved. The guards at Camp O'Donnell treat the prisoners accordingly, as subhuman creatures worthy only of contempt. The rules are brutal. Any prisoner who disobeys orders will be shot. Any prisoner who attempts escape will be shot. All prisoners must salute all Japanese officers and soldiers. Failure to salute results in beatings. All prisoners must bow to guards. Failure to bow results in beatings. All prisoners must work on labor details as ordered. Refusal results in beatings or death. Tenney and the others are ordered to turn over any remaining possessions. Watches, rings, photographs, letters, all confiscated. Many prisoners have their identification tags taken. This is a death sentence of a different kind. Without tags, if you die, you become unknown. Your family will never know. You simply vanish. The camp begins its work of killing immediately. Camp O'Donnell, April 16, 1942. The camp's water system consists of a single water spigot for the American section and one for the Filipino section. A single spigot for 9,000 American prisoners. The spigot produces a trickle. To fill a canteen takes minutes. The line stretches for hundreds of meters. Men wait hours for water. Many are too weak to stand in line. They collapse and die of dehydration within sight of the water source. Some prisoners try to cut in line. Fights break out. Men murder each other over position in the water line. The guards watch and laugh. Japanese engineers could fix the water system. They could install pumps. They could drill wells. They choose not to. The suffering is intentional. Later, prisoners will install better water pumps themselves. But in these first weeks, water is the primary killer. Men who survive the march die of thirst in a camp with water. The cruelty is elegant in its simplicity. The death rate begins immediately. On April 14, the first prisoners died in Camp O'Donnell. By April 30, when Tenney arrives, the death rate is climbing exponentially. By May 29, 1942, the death rate will reach 50 Americans per day. 50 men, every single day. The primary causes are malaria, dysentery, and malnutrition. But the ultimate cause is policy. The Japanese could prevent these deaths. They choose not to. Lester Tenney spends his first hours in camp standing in line for water. His throat is raw. His lips are cracked and bleeding. His tongue is swollen. When he finally reaches the spigot, he drinks until his stomach cramps. Then he fills his canteen and walks away. Around him, new arrivals are collapsing. Some are having seizures. Some are dying. The camp has a hospital. The prisoners call it the Zero Ward. This is not a place of healing. This is a place to die. There are no medicines, no quinine for malaria, no sulfa drugs for dysentery. The doctors, who are fellow prisoners, do their best with nothing. They boil guava leaves to treat dysentery. Sometimes it helps. Usually, it does not. Patients lie on bamboo platforms, delirious with fever, defecating blood, wasting away. The smell of death hangs heavy. Flies cover everything. Patients die in the night and are not discovered until morning. The burial details run constantly. Prisoners are organized into grave-digging parties. They dig mass graves just outside the camp. Sometimes the diggers encounter hard, rocky soil. The graves are shallow. Bodies are piled in. Dirt is thrown over them. Often, legs, hands, or feet stick out. There is not enough dirt to cover them. Prisoner Nicholas Friesick will testify. People were buried in mass graves, and you could see legs, hands, or feet sticking out of the little dirt used to cover them. May 1942, Camp O'Donnell. The dying accelerates. The daily death rate climbs from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 Americans. The Filipino death rate is 6 times higher. By May 31, 1942, there are 5,679 men in the American section. The death rate is 44 per day. Almost 2/3 of American deaths are men aged 25 or younger. Lieutenant Colonel David Hardy, a World War I veteran, later explains, "Young men were more easily discouraged, because for the first time they were meeting adversity, while older men had gone through many hard knocks. Many young prisoners simply give up. They stop eating. They stop drinking. They lie down and wait to die. Fellow prisoners try to force-feed them. Sometimes it works. Often it does not. When a man loses the will to live, death comes quickly." Captain McMaster, a camp doctor, calls it dying of a broken spirit. Often when men say goodnight to dying friends, the response is goodbye. The dying men know they will not see morning. They are saying farewell. In the night, they close their eyes and let go. In the morning, their bodies are cold. Lester Tenney watches men die every day. He sees friends from the 192nd Tank Battalion waste away. He sees men he fought beside, bled beside, marched beside. Now they are corpses carried on burial details. He attends to the surviving. He encourages those who are giving up. He shares his meager rations with those weaker than himself. He refuses to surrender to despair. Because once you surrender to despair, you die. The camp conditions are designed to break the prisoner's spirit. The Japanese provide minimal food, mostly rice. Sometimes the rice is moldy. Sometimes it contains worms and maggots. Sometimes it is just husks with no nutritional value. Prisoners receive approximately 500 calories per day. This is 1/4 of what a human needs to survive. The body begins to consume itself. Muscles waste away. Fat disappears. The skin hangs loose on skeletal frames. Men develop beriberi. Their limbs swell grotesquely with fluid. They develop scurvy. Their teeth fall out, their gums bleed constantly. They develop pellagra. Their skin develops painful rashes and sores. They develop night blindness from vitamin deficiency. They become living ghosts. The camp is full of walking corpses, men who are technically alive, but already dead. June 1942. The Japanese begin organizing work details. Prisoners are sent out of Camp O'Donnell to various locations around the Philippines. They build airfields. They construct roads. They clear bomb damage. They load ships. They work on farm plots. The work is brutal. The guards are vicious. Many prisoners never return. They die on the work details and are buried wherever they fall. The camp population fluctuates daily as prisoners leave and sometimes return. Captain John Olson, the camp adjutant, tries to keep records. He documents 1,570 American deaths at Camp O'Donnell. He estimates another 20 to 30 deaths went unrecorded. The actual number is probably higher. For the Filipinos, the numbers are catastrophic. Approximately 20,000 to 26,000 Filipino prisoners die at Camp O'Donnell in just a few months. The camp operates from April 11, 1942 to January 20, 1943, but the highest death rates occur in the first months. This is where the weakest die. This is where those who survive the march finally succumb. This is where the body count reaches levels that defy comprehension. 1 out of every 6 Americans who enter Camp O'Donnell dies there. For Filipinos, the ratio is worse. Nearly half never leave. Lester Tenney is selected for a work detail. He is grateful. Anywhere is better than Camp O'Donnell. The detail is sent to farm plots to grow food. The irony is not lost on anyone. Starving prisoners, forced to grow food they will never eat. The work is exhausting. Prisoners labor in the tropical sun, digging, planting, weeding. They are given no tools, only their hands. They are beaten if they work too slowly. They are beaten if they rest. They are beaten for no reason at all. But at least they are away from the zero ward, away from the constant death, away from the burial details. On the farm detail, Tenney plants rice. His hands blister. His back aches. Sweat pours from his body. But he is alive. He is moving. He is doing something other than waiting to die. He returns to Camp O'Donnell after several weeks. The camp is emptier. Hundreds more have died. The faces he knew are gone. The men he trained with, fought with, dead. How many more can he lose? Summer 1942. Lester Tenney makes a decision. He will escape. Camp O'Donnell is a death sentence. If he stays, he will die. If he tries to escape and fails, he will die. But at least escape offers a chance. He studies the camp perimeter. The barbed wire is rusty and poorly maintained. The guard towers are manned, but the guards are often inattentive. At night, there are blind spots. With another prisoner, Tenney plans his escape. They will go at night, during a heavy rain when visibility is low. They will cut through the wire and run for the jungle. If they can reach the mountains, they might find Filipino guerrillas who are still fighting. It is a desperate plan. It is also the only plan. One night, during a tropical downpour, they make their attempt. The rain hammers down, thunder rolls, lightning flashes. In the chaos of the storm, they slip from their barracks. They crawl to the perimeter. They cut through the wire. The sound is covered by thunder. They are through. They run. The jungle swallows them. For days they move through the mountains. They avoid roads. They avoid villages. They eat whatever they can find. They drink from streams. They are free. But freedom in the Philippine jungle is its own hell. The heat is oppressive. The insects are relentless. Leeches attach to their skin and suck blood. Mosquitoes swarm constantly. They contract malaria. The fever comes in waves, chills, sweats, delirium. They push on. They have no destination, no plan beyond survival. They hope to find guerrillas. They hope someone will help them. For a brief time, Tenney lives among Filipino guerrillas. The details are sparse in historical records. The guerrillas feed them, shelter them, but harboring escaped POWs brings deadly reprisals. The Japanese burn villages suspected of aiding prisoners. They execute civilians. The guerrillas cannot keep Tenney indefinitely. Eventually, he and his companion are recaptured. The capture happens during a Japanese patrol sweep. They are hiding in a village. The patrol surrounds it. There is no escape. They are dragged out, beaten, and returned to captivity. Recaptured prisoners face execution. The camp rules are clear. But Tenney is not executed. Perhaps because the Japanese need laborers. Perhaps because the war is changing and they need POWs for other purposes. He is sent to Cabanatuan, another POW camp. Late 1942. Cabanatuan POW Camp No. 1. This camp, located in Nueva Ecija province in central Luzon, becomes the main POW facility for Americans in the Philippines. Over 7,300 prisoners are held here. The conditions are marginally better than Camp O'Donnell, but only marginally. Food is still inadequate, disease is still rampant, death is still constant. In June 1942, prisoners from Camp O'Donnell began streaming into Cabanatuan. Because these men are in poor health, the death rate at Cabanatuan soars. By the end of 1942, 2,642 American prisoners have died at Cabanatuan Camp 1. Former POW Lester Tenney will later estimate that 1 out of every 3 prisoners from Corregidor died in captivity. 2 out of every 3 prisoners from Bataan died. The odds are worse than Russian roulette. Tenney survives Cabanatuan. He does not know how. Luck, genetics, stubbornness. The body can endure things the mind cannot imagine. The first zero-death day at Cabanatuan occurs on December 15, 1942. For the first time since the camps opened, not a single American prisoner dies in a 24-hour period. The prisoners celebrate this grim milestone. It means the weakest have already died. Those who remain are the survivors, stronger, tougher, more resistant. But the cost has been staggering. Of the 12,000 Americans who surrendered on Bataan, approximately 1,000 died during the Death March. Approximately 1,500 died at Camp O'Donnell. Approximately 2,642 died at Cabanatuan. The Japanese are killing American prisoners through deliberate neglect at a rate that rivals combat deaths. October 1944. Lester Tenney and other prisoners are selected for transfer. They are told nothing about their destination. They are marched to Manila and loaded onto a freighter. This is a Japanese cargo ship bound for Japan. The prisoners do not know that they are about to experience what POWs call the hell ships, transport vessels that will kill thousands of Allied prisoners during the war. Tenney is one of 500 POWs crammed into a cargo hold measuring approximately 15 meters by 15 meters. The mathematics are simple. 500 men in a 225 square meter space. Each man has less than half a square meter, standing room only. The ship is called the Toro Maru. The prisoners are packed into the hold like cargo. The hatches are closed. The darkness is absolute. The air becomes thick and foul within minutes. The ship is not designed for passengers. There are no facilities. No toilets. No ventilation. No light. The prisoners stand in the darkness, pressed against each other. Some try to sit, but there is no room. If you collapse, you are held upright by the bodies around you. The ship sets sail. The journey to Japan takes 32 days. 32 days in hell. The heat in the hold is suffocating. The temperature climbs above 40 degrees Celsius. Men sweat through their clothes. The sweat evaporates and fills the air with humidity. Breathing becomes difficult. The air is soupy, thick, insufficient. Men gasp for oxygen. Some hyperventilate and pass out. But they cannot fall. The overcrowding holds them up. The ship rolls with the waves. Men become seasick. In the darkness, prisoners vomit on each other. The stench is overwhelming. Some have dysentery. Liquid feces run down their legs, pool on the floor. Soon, all the prisoners are standing in a mixture of vomit, excrement, and urine. The hatches are opened twice daily. For a few minutes, fresh air rushes in. Buckets of rice and water are lowered. The prisoners fight for the food. Then 4 prisoners are allowed topside. Their job is to hoist up buckets of body waste and corpses. Each morning, men have died during the night. The corpses are pulled from the hold and thrown overboard. Splash! Another unknown soldier buried at sea. The bodies are not identified. No records are kept. They simply disappear. Tenney stands in that darkness for 32 days. He urinates where he stands. He defecates where he stands. He sleeps standing up. He exists in a waking nightmare. During the voyage, the Toro Maru sails through waters patrolled by Allied submarines. American submarines are hunting Japanese ships. They do not know that some of these ships carry Allied POWs. The Japanese do not mark the hell ships with any indication that they transport prisoners. International law requires that POW transports be clearly marked and their routes communicated to the enemy. Japan ignores this. The result is that Allied submarines sink numerous hell ships, killing thousands of Allied POWs. The Arisan Maru is sunk in October 1944, with 1,800 POWs aboard. Only 9 survive. The Oryoku Maru is sunk in December 1944. Hundreds die in the sinking or are machine-gunned in the water. The Enora Maru is bombed at dock. Over 400 POWs die. In total, approximately 21,000 Allied POWs are transported to Japan on hell ships. About 7,000 die during the voyages, killed by submarine attacks, bombings, or the horrific conditions. Tenney is aware of the submarine threat. He hears the ship's engines change pitch. He feels the vessel turn sharply. He knows they are taking evasive action. If a torpedo hits the ship, they will all die. The hatches are closed. They are trapped below. If the ship sinks, they will drown in darkness. But no torpedo comes. The Toro Maru survives its voyage. When the ship finally reaches Japan, the hatches open. Daylight floods in. The prisoners climb out, blinking, filthy, covered in waste. Many can barely walk. Some have to be carried. Several corpses remain in the hold. Tenney steps onto Japanese soil. He has survived the hell ship. But his ordeal is far from over. 1943, Omuta, Fukuoka Prefecture, Kyushu Island, Japan. Lester Tenney and approximately 500 other American POWs are transported to a coal mine complex operated by Mitsui Mining Company. The mine is located about 35 miles from Nagasaki. Mitsui is one of Japan's largest industrial conglomerates. The company is using POW slave labor to maintain coal production while Japanese miners are conscripted for military service. The Geneva Convention of 1929 explicitly forbids forced labor of prisoners of war. Japan never ratified the treaty. This is how they justify enslaving prisoners. The POWs are housed in a camp adjacent to the mine. The conditions are brutal. Food consists of 500 calories of rice per day. This is 1/4 of what a human needs for survival, let alone for 12 hours of hard labor in a coal mine. Medical care is practically non-existent. The camp has a small clinic with no medicines, no equipment, no supplies. Sick prisoners are expected to work. Injured prisoners are expected to work. Dying prisoners are expected to work until they cannot stand. The routine is invariable. Wake before dawn, receive a small ration of rice, march to the mine, descend into the depths, work for 12 hours, climb out, march back to camp, receive another small ration of rice, sleep, repeat. 28 days per month, for over 2 years. Tenney will later testify to the U.S. Senate. I was forced to shovel coal 12 hours a day, 28 days a month, for over 2 years. The mine descends deep into the earth. The air is thick with coal dust. The temperature underground is stifling. The prisoners work in near total darkness, with only small lamps to see. The work is backbreaking. Prisoners shovel coal into carts. They push the carts along narrow rail lines. They load the coal into lift cages. They do this for 12 hours. The coal dust coats everything. It fills lungs. It causes chronic coughing, respiratory infections, eventually black lung disease. Many prisoners develop silicosis. They cough up black sputum. They struggle to breathe. The mine is dangerous. There are frequent cave-ins. Tunnels collapse, crushing prisoners. The Japanese do not waste time on rescue attempts. Collapsed tunnels are sealed. The prisoners buried inside are left there. There are accidents with equipment. Prisoners are dismembered by machinery. They are crushed by coal carts. They are buried alive. The mining conditions are so severe that some POWs resort to desperate measures. Tenney will later testify, POWs traded their meager meals to have their arm or leg broken so that they would get a short reprieve from going back underground. Read that again. Prisoners trade food for broken bones. They beg fellow prisoners to break their limbs. Because a broken arm means a week without going into the mine. A week of suffering above ground instead of below. The arithmetic of desperation. The civilian Japanese workers in the mine treat the POWs with vicious cruelty. The civilians are not soldiers. They are ordinary people, fathers, husbands, brothers, who beat prisoners without mercy. Tenney testifies, the reason for these beatings was because I did not work fast enough, did not shovel enough coal that day, or because the Americans won an important battle. We got to know how the war was progressing by the frequency and severity of the beatings. And the beatings were usually with a pickaxe, a hammer, or a chain, whatever the Mitsui overseers in the mine were able to get their hands on. When American forces win a victory somewhere in the Pacific, the prisoners pay for it. The beatings intensify. The cruelty increases. The workers take out their frustration and fear on defenseless men. Tenney will later describe his injuries from these beatings. Broken back, broken shoulder, teeth knocked out, nose split wide open, head gashed, sword wounds to shoulder and leg, bayonet wounds. He is beaten 2 to 3 times per week for over 2 years. His body is a map of scars. His teeth are mostly gone by the time he is liberated. His nose has been broken so many times, it is permanently deformed. December 1944, Mitsui Coal Mine. Lester Tenney descends into the mine with his work gang. As they labor in the darkness, one prisoner, a man named Andy Pavlakis, cannot keep up. He is sick, weakened by malnutrition and disease. He shovels coal too slowly. A Japanese overseer notices. The overseer walks over and begins to beat Pavlakis with a hammer. Pavlakis falls. The beating continues. Finally, the overseer orders him taken to the guardhouse. In the guardhouse, Pavlakis is placed in a small cell. He is given no food. For 30 days, he receives nothing but a cup of water each day. 30 days of starvation. When guards finally drag him out of the cell, he can barely walk. They take him to an open area. They order prisoners to watch. The beating begins. Guards beat Pavlakis with clubs, chains, and rifle butts. They kick him. They stomp on him. The beating continues until he stops moving. Until he is dead. Tenney watches this. He is forced to watch. All prisoners are forced to watch. This is the lesson. If you do not work hard enough, this is your fate. Tenney will later testify, the real torture was being forced to watch my friends die. This is more true than any physical pain. A man can endure beatings. He can endure starvation. He can endure disease. But to watch friends die, slowly, brutally, for no reason. This breaks something inside that never heals. Tenney watches Andy Pavlakis murdered. He watches other prisoners die in the mine, buried in cave-ins, crushed by equipment, worked to death. He watches men succumb to disease, malnutrition, despair. The death toll at the Mitsui mine is significant. Exact numbers are difficult to determine, but hundreds of POWs die there. Their bodies are cremated or buried in unmarked graves. Many families never learn what happened to their sons, husbands, fathers. They are simply listed as died in Japanese captivity. Location, unknown. Cause, unknown. The men just vanish into the darkness of the mine and never come out. August 9th, 1945, 11:02 hours. Lester Tenney is in the POW camp at Omuta when he hears a massive explosion. The ground shakes, the air pressure changes. Then, across the bay, he sees it. A massive cloud rising into the sky, mushroom-shaped, towering, unnatural. It rises from Nagasaki, approximately 35 miles away. The cloud is enormous, red, black, and white, boiling and churning as it climbs toward the stratosphere. Tenney and the other prisoners stare in awe and terror. They have no idea what they are seeing. They have never heard of atomic weapons. They do not know that Nagasaki has just been destroyed. They do not know that 70,000 people have just been killed instantly. They do not know that they are witnessing the beginning of the end. All they know is that something massive has happened, something that defies comprehension. The guards are agitated. They speak rapidly in Japanese. Some look frightened. Later that day, Tenney will recall. We didn't know what it was, but the war ended 1 week later. August 15th, 1945. The guards gather the prisoners. They announce that Japan has surrendered. The war is over. The prisoners do not believe them. It must be a trick, a test, a trap. But then the guards do something unprecedented. They bow to the prisoners. They bring Red Cross packages that have been stored in warehouses for years. They provide unlimited rice rations. The prisoners realize it is true. The war is over. They have survived. Lester Tenney has been a prisoner for 3 years and 8 months. He has survived the Bataan Death March. He has survived Camp O'Donnell. He has survived Cabanatuan. He has survived a hell ship. He has survived 2 years in a coal mine. He has been beaten, starved, tortured, worked nearly to death. He has watched hundreds of friends die. He has lost most of his teeth. His body is broken. His weight has dropped to less than 90 pounds. But he is alive. Of the 593 men from the 192nd Tank Battalion who deployed to the Philippines in October 1941, only 265 survived to return home. 328 are dead. 55% casualties. Lester Tenney is one of the lucky ones. August 1945. Allied forces enter Japan and begin locating POW camps. At Omuta, American soldiers arrive at the Mitsui mine. They are shocked by what they find. Skeletal prisoners barely able to walk. Men who weigh 80 pounds. Men with no teeth, broken bones that healed wrong, scarred bodies. The Americans provide food. The prisoners eat too quickly and become sick. Their stomachs have shrunk. Rich food causes vomiting, diarrhea, cramps. They must be taught to eat slowly, to gradually increase portions. Medical teams examine the prisoners. They document the injuries, the diseases, the malnutrition. They take photographs. They take testimony. The evidence of Japanese war crimes is overwhelming. Tenney boards a ship for home. The voyage is surreal. He is free. He is going home. But he is not the same man who left. He left in 1941 as a 21-year-old newlywed, strong and healthy. He returns in 1945 as a 25-year-old broken man, physically and mentally scarred. The ship arrives in the United States. Tenney steps onto American soil. He has survived. But at what cost? 1945. Lester Tenney returns to find that his wife, believing him dead, has remarried. She was informed that he was killed in action. She mourned him. She moved on. Now he stands before her, alive, and everything is broken. They cannot reconcile. Too much time has passed. Too much has changed. She has a new life. He is a ghost from the past. They divorce. Tenney is alone. He suffers from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, though in 1945 they do not call it that. They call it combat fatigue, shell shock, or nothing at all. Veterans are expected to just get over it, to move on, to forget. But Tenney cannot forget. He has nightmares. He wakes screaming. He relives the march, the beatings, the deaths. He sees Andy Pavlakis being beaten to death. He hears the screams of men dying in the mine. He smells the coal dust and blood and fear. During the day, he feels shame. He is ashamed that he surrendered, ashamed that he was a prisoner, ashamed that he survived when so many others died. He will later say, "I wasn't so proud of being a prisoner of war." For years, he does not speak about his experiences. He tries to bury them. He tries to move forward. He enrolls in San Diego State University and earns a business degree. He continues to the University of Southern California and completes a doctorate in finance. He becomes a professor. He teaches at San Diego State University and Arizona State University. He builds a new life. 1959. Lester Tenney meets Betty Levi. She is divorced with 2 sons. They marry in 1960. Betty helps Tenney begin to heal. She encourages him to talk about his experiences. She listens without judgment. She helps him understand that he has nothing to be ashamed of. He did not surrender. General King surrendered. He was following orders. He survived through strength, courage, and will. He has nothing to apologize for. With Betty's support, Tenney begins to process his trauma. He starts speaking to veterans groups. He shares his story with civic organizations. He talks to school children about the war, about sacrifice, about survival. He discovers that talking helps, that sharing the burden makes it lighter, that educating others gives meaning to his suffering. In 1995, he publishes his memoir, My Hitch in Hell, The Bataan Death March. The book is a detailed account of his experiences as a POW. Writing it is therapeutic, but also agonizing. He must relive every moment, every beating, every death, every horror. But he believes it is important. The world must know what happened. The survivors must not be forgotten. 1999. California enacts a law allowing World War II slave labor victims to sue the companies that enslaved them. The applicable portion reads, "Any Second World War slave labor victim may bring an action to recover compensation for labor performed as a Second World War slave labor victim from any entity or successor in interest thereof for whom that labor was performed, either directly or through a subsidiary or affiliate." Lester Tenney becomes the first plaintiff to file a lawsuit against Mitsui. He seeks compensation for his forced labor and the cruelty he endured. He is not seeking millions of dollars. He wants acknowledgement. He wants Mitsui to admit what they did was wrong. Soon, more than 30 lawsuits are filed against almost 60 Japanese companies. The governments of both the United States and Japan side with the Japanese defendant companies. They argue that the 1951 Treaty of Peace with Japan settled all claims. They urge the courts to dismiss the cases. The courts agree. The lawsuits are dismissed. Tenney is devastated. The companies that enslaved him, that beat him, that worked his friends to death, will never be held accountable. They made billions from slave labor. They paid nothing. They admitted nothing. They apologized for nothing. 2007. About 70 members of American Defenders of Bataan and Corregidor, ADBC, gather in Washington, D.C. for their annual convention. Most are in their late 80s and 90s. They know this will be the last time such a large group can meet. They pass a resolution seeking an official apology from the Japanese government. Lester Tenney, vice commander of ADBC, drafts the resolution. He contacts the Japanese embassy weeks in advance requesting a meeting. The request is ignored. On the day Tenney and ADBC commander Edward Jackfort plan to visit the embassy, they call again. No response. They go to the embassy anyway. They are not allowed inside. They stand outside the gates, old men holding a piece of paper, asking for simple acknowledgement of what was done to them. No one comes out to meet them. 2009. After sustained pressure from Tenney and other advocates, Japanese ambassador to the United States, Ichiro Fujisaki, travels to the last convention of American POWs of Japan. He issues an apology. We extend a heartfelt apology for our country having caused tremendous damage and suffering to many people, including prisoners of war, those who have undergone tragic experiences in the Bataan Peninsula, Corregidor Island in the Philippines, and other places. It is the first official Japanese government apology to American POWs. Tenney is present. He listens to the words. He has waited 67 years for this moment. It is something. It is not enough, but it is something. In 2010, the Japanese government invites a delegation of American POWs to visit Japan. The foreign minister repeats the apology. The gesture is significant. Japan has acknowledged what happened. But the corporations remain silent. Mitsui, Mitsubishi, Kawasaki, Nippon, the companies that enslaved and brutalized prisoners, say nothing. Tenney continues to push. He speaks at conferences. He meets with politicians. He corresponds with Japanese officials. He refuses to let the issue die. 2015. Mitsubishi Materials Corporation issues a formal apology to American POWs who were used as forced laborers. A senior executive apologizes to 94-year-old James Murphy and relatives of other former POWs. Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Simon Wiesenthal Center calls it historic. It's the first time a major Japanese company has ever made such a gesture. Tenney is invited to attend. It is not his company. He worked for Mitsui, not Mitsubishi. But he goes. He hopes this will encourage other companies to follow. It does not. Mitsui never apologizes. In 2017, Tenney receives a letter from Mitsubishi Materials Corporation apologizing for the mistreatment of POWs. It is addressed to him personally, though he worked for Mitsui, not Mitsubishi. He accepts it gracefully. He hopes it will encourage Mitsui to do the same. They do not. Throughout his quest for apologies, Lester Tenney confronts a fundamental question. Can he forgive? His fellow POWs are divided. Some remain consumed by hatred. They are still prisoners, psychologically, trapped in the camps, still suffering. Tenney understands this. He felt that hatred himself. But he makes a choice. He decides to forgive. Not for the Japanese, for himself. He explains, I couldn't go there and talk with them if I hadn't learned to forgive and get on with my life. So the forgiveness that I did was not for them. The forgiveness was for me. By my forgiving, I opened up my door. I've often said that my friends who still hate, they're still prisoners. They're still prisoners. They have not been released yet. This is profound wisdom earned through unimaginable suffering. Forgiveness as liberation. Not forgetting, he will never forget, but releasing the poison of hatred that destroys the vessel that contains it. Tenney also establishes Care Packages from Home, a company that sends care packages to soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. He does this because he never received his own care package as a prisoner. He knows what it means to be forgotten. He ensures that no soldier is forgotten now. He speaks at the National World War II Museum. He shares his story with anyone who will listen. He becomes an educator, an advocate, a voice for the voiceless dead. Lester Irwin Tenney dies in Carlsbad, California. He is 96 years old. He has been in quite good health until about a week before his death. He is survived by Betty, his wife of 57 years. Their anniversary would have been 3 days later. His son Glenn, 2 stepsons, and grandchildren. The National World War II Museum issues a statement. Our deepest condolences go out to his family, friends, and fellow World War II veterans. Our gratitude for Lester Tenney's service and sacrifice, and for his decades of dedication to ensuring that his wartime experiences and those of his fellow POWs would not be forgotten, lives on. Tenney's life is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. He endured hell. He survived. He rebuilt. He forgave. He educated. He fought for justice until his final days. His story is not unique. Thousands of POWs suffered as he did. But his voice became one of the most important, most persistent, most eloquent in ensuring that their suffering was not forgotten. In 2016, on the 70th anniversary of the Bataan Death March, Tenney said, "I've learned to forgive, but I'll never forget." That is his legacy. Forgiveness without forgetting. Justice without hatred. Memory without bitterness. He bore witness to atrocity so that future generations would know. He transformed trauma into teaching. He turned suffering into meaning. Every word of this story is true. The dates are documented. The names are real. The events happened. This is not fiction. This is not exaggeration. This is history. On December 22, 1941, Lieutenant Benjamin Morin and his tank platoon engaged Japanese forces in the first U.S. tank battle of World War II. Documented. On April 9, 1942, General Edward King surrendered 78,000 troops on Bataan. Documented. Between April 10 and April 16, 1942, approximately 600 Americans and 2,500 Filipinos died during the Bataan Death March. Documented. At Camp O'Donnell, from April to October 1942, approximately 1,500 Americans and 20,000 Filipinos died. Documented. On the Hell ships, approximately 7,000 Allied POWs died during transport to Japan. Documented. At the Mitsui coal mine in Omuda, hundreds of POWs died from brutality, malnutrition, and mining accidents. Documented. On August 9, 1945, Lester Tenney witnessed the atomic cloud rising from Nagasaki. Documented. Of the 593 men from the 192nd Tank Battalion who deployed to the Philippines in 1941, only 265 survived. 328 died. Documented. These are not stories. These are facts. This happened to real people in our grandparents' generation, less than 80 years ago. The full accounting of American POW deaths in Japanese captivity reveals the scale of the atrocity. Total American military personnel captured in the Philippines, approximately 22,000. Total American military personnel who survived to return home, approximately 15,000. Total American military deaths in Japanese captivity, approximately 7,000. Death rate, approximately 32%. By comparison, the death rate for American POWs in German captivity was approximately 3%. American POWs were 10 times more likely to die in Japanese captivity than in German captivity. This was not accidental. This was policy. The Japanese military culture viewed surrender as dishonorable. Prisoners were not considered worthy of humane treatment. The Geneva Convention was not ratified by Japan. The result was systematic brutalization and murder of prisoners. Of the approximately 27,000 American military personnel taken prisoner by Japan during World War II, including captures in the Philippines, Wake Island, Guam, and other locations. Approximately 11,000 died in captivity. Death rate, approximately 40%. Contrast this with European theater. Of approximately 93,000 Americans held as POWs by Germany and Italy, approximately 2,800 died in captivity. Death rate, approximately 3%.